to go and collect it for myself at their office. At some point, I had to leave the passport with them. This time around, nothing like that was happening. And this says a lot about how the pandemic actually sort of accelerated this digital transformation agenda, which, not just business organizations or governments or individuals are talking about. So I suppose this is where I want to sort of take my conversation from. And like she was saying, I want to be talking about, firstly, just demystifying and conceptualizing this concept of digital transformation, then talk about digital success factors and the success framework that I've been building throughout my PhD journey, which then translates into some digital transformation process model. And basically, the idea behind this is just to help managers as they embark on digital transformation journeys. So maybe the starting point is, okay, what about digital transformation? Why and how? And like I say, at the very high level, leveraging new age technologies to enhance everyday endeavors. We can do it as individuals, your everyday interactions with whoever you interact with other organizations, with how do you leverage the power of these digital technologies to, enhance your interactions. You could do it as community, society, business, organizations, industries, government would have very elaborate agendas on the same. And we still, it goes without saying, it cuts across, all industries, all economies, and it lies at the very core of, the digital economy that we often talk about, the fourth industrial revolution. Yes. So for me, with the definition, I'll become a little bit academic in this one. You have to. I had to try and find a way of, okay, what is my context of digital transformation? And through that, I had to go through a very thorough, literature review, looking at different articles, different people, what are they saying about digital transformation? What are its characteristics? What drives digital transformation? What are the key impacts? What are the areas that are being transformed in this phenomenon? And I ended up coming with this definition, which has been published in that paper there. My definition became, it's an evolutionary process. So it's very evolving, it's continuous. It's an evolutionary process that leverages digital technologies, your social media, your big data, analytics, your Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, blockchain technologies, all that. You leverage those, you leverage also the capabilities to enable business models, operational processes, and customer experiences to create value. So this is sort of the definition that I ended up coming with, from my study. And of course, I can't divorce myself from other definitions, other scholars. Maybe the first two are other scholars who talked about digital transformation as a realignment of technology and new business models to more effectively engage digital customers at every touch point in the experience life cycle. So you want to be enhancing those experiences at every touch point of your organization. Another one would look at it, which is VEAL. It's a process that aims to improve an entity by triggering significant changes. So there's an element of change right there to its properties through combinations of information, computing, communication, and connectivity technologies. So these are more of your other scholars who looked at the definition of digital transformation. Then I would also want to address the aspect of practice, because this is a very practical, industry-oriented, topic. And the CIO magazine considers digital transformation as rethinking of how organizations use technology, people, and processes in pursuit of new business models and new revenue streams. And it's driven by changes in customer experiences, whereas the enterprise project, which is another publication, it's the integration of digital technologies into all areas of business, fundamentally changing how they operate, how they deliver value to customers. There's also issues of cultural change right there. And there's that continuously changing the status quo. So we see that evolutionary aspect of things when we can't divorce continuous change, when we are continuous improvement, when we are talking about digital transformation. So as you understand, there's other terms that at times we loosely use interchangeably with digital transformation, which do not necessarily resemble digital transformation. So digital transformation is about creating the value at the end. Otherwise, what would be the difference between digital transformation and automation that we already know? So maybe if you look at this diagram here, we want to maybe starting with how to digitize, which is maybe just changing from analog to digital, from an analog form to digital. But then to digitalize then would be to automate, just simple automation. Okay, I've improved this process. It's no longer manual. It's now computerized. It's computer-based. But with digital transformation, we are saying, what is the value? What value? Are you able to quantify the amount of value that you've created by digitalizing whatever it is that you are digitalizing? And it's more than just it's more than just the use of technology. It's also to do with the people's mindsets, the culture, the developing those strategies that suit how things need to be done in organizations. So maybe we could look at these other statements, such as digital transformation is about strategy, not necessarily about technology. It's about the people and less about technology. It's about upgrading our strategic thinking, not about updating your technology. Updating technology is just a driver in digital transformation. We ought to know exactly what it is that we want to get, the value that we want to create by saying we are embarking on a digital transformation journey. It's also a journey, that evolutionary process. It's not a destination. So there's that continuous innovation, a rapid response to change. And at the end of the process, embracing failure, because you want to be trying out things, they fail, you park them, you move to the next thing in a very rapid manner. Digital transformation, yes, so that those are other different characteristics that we'd want to associate with digital transformation. You have to have the right mindset, the skills, you have to have the culture, you need to be thinking about your customers, your strategy, of course, then the technology itself, because it is, at the end of the day, the driver. So it's these kind of things that help us maybe understand digital transformation. Otherwise, it's just a buzzword. We are trying to sound a bit cool, no longer talking about automation, but this is not what we are talking about when you talk about digital transformation. Yeah, it starts with people. It's not about technology, or that beyond the buzzword, creating results, creating value. So why do we need to embark on this digital transformation? So there was that emergence of new digital technologies. We want to be leveraging them to create value, improve our customer engagements, to become more responsive, to to our customers' needs. We want to maybe increase revenue. At some point, we are coming up with new business models. You want to be able to manage your resources better. You want to be increasing efficiency. You want to be relevant. Otherwise, the fourth industrial bandwagon is just gonna pass you by. So this is we at a very high level. These are what we want to be looking at when we say we are embarking on digital transformation. We need to frame our minds properly, knowing exactly what it is that we want to achieve. But at the core of it all, we want to be enhancing customer experiences. We want to be improving our operational processes. We want to be coming up with, building new business models. And at the end of it, that will create the value that we are looking for, the value to our customers, to our employees, because they also need to improve their own efficiency, and the value, obviously, as shareholders or as other stakeholders in the said organization, they will also experience the value. So that is what will lead to the success that we are looking for when we are embarking on digital transformation. Let me have another sip. So the question becomes, how then can organizations achieve, successful digital transformation? And before we get to that, maybe just to throw in a few facts. In 2015, an MIT Sloan's Management Review study revealed that 90% of organizations then were claiming that they were talking about digital transformation. And 50% of the managers were actually saying they had already embarked as far back as in 2015. And today, the IDC, it's saying in 2022, global spending of digital transformation has reached $1.8 trillion. And by 2025, it will be standing at 2.8. This is just to appreciate how big this industry is. And Rogers, who happens to be an author of a book called Digital Transformation Playbook, also a professor in the Columbia Business School, says it's no secret that every company is giving at least lip service. Everywhere you go, people are talking about digital transformation, at least. But many are struggling with the efforts they've begun. So this is where the issue is. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone is thinking, oh, okay, I'm embarking on digital transformation. But the research shows that 1 in 5 digital transformation projects are failing. Another study, maybe by Forbes, says 84% of such efforts are failing. And there are different reasons, associated with this failure or poor success rates of digital transformation. Maybe the first one would be, just the basic understanding of digital transformation, just being able to see digital transformation as creating that value, not just as automating. We tend to just become fashionable with words, also become fashionable with the technology itself. There's what we call a digital fashionista behavior. It's like someone who always buys the latest phone. There's a new phone, you buy it. There's a new car, you buy it. Do you ever sit down and say, okay, what are my needs? What are the challenges that I'm experiencing? And what are the features of that particular gadget? If I get it, how will it enhance my everyday experiences? So your digital fashionista would be someone who just gets excited. Oh, there's blockchain technologies, they invest in that. Oh, there's something on AI, they invest in that. But at the end of the day, they miss the whole integration, the whole value that they're hoping to they're hoping to create in their organization. There's also, the disconnect between, formulating the strategy as well as implementing the strategy itself. So, there's also a lack of, the holistic understanding of what needs to be done in a digital transformation process. When you say I'm embarking, you need to know there has to be a very clear, sort of guideline of, okay, this is how I should begin, and this is how, the process should unfold. We are not saying digital transformation is very much calculated and it's a very linear journey. Of course, it's complex, but the idea of what needs to be done arguably remains the same. There are things that you need to take care of, which will enable you, which will direct you to that success that you want to achieve. There's also issues of your digital maturity. How digital savvy are you in your organization or as a country, your people as a government, in the government, the decision-making people, how digital savvy are we, and at what level are we able to take risks on technology, all that. So those are some of the challenges that we find a lot of digital transformation projects sort of failing. There's the issue of, I was just talking about your digital fashionistas. Westerman, who happens to be a scholar in MIT Sloan as well, came up with this diagram to say, okay, there are different types of people or organizations rather in this digital era. We would have maybe your beginners. The majority are the beginners who are pretty slow and laggard to take up technologies, to take up the risks, to invest in the process of digital transformation. Then we have the fashionistas, which I've sort of already mentioned. We have also the conservatives who would be, very cautious with what they do. They'll probably wait a little bit, and when they see that the technology is something they can embark on or they can take, then they will go ahead with it. But your digital masters, your digital exemplars are the ones who are, in the forefront. They'll be the ones to quickly grab the opportunity of exploring new technologies that are emerging. And we learned that there's quite a few of those. Remember, we are saying 1 in 5 are only succeeding. It means it's those digital masters who are succeeding. And there's a lesson that we can learn from those, which then we need to say, okay, if these companies are doing this, what lessons can we draw from that so that we help our own digital transformation journeys? So as part of my studies, there's a time where I was reading about your digital masters, the companies that were succeeding in their digital transformation journeys. Some of the case studies that I looked at was your Starbucks and your Burberry. So Starbucks, we all know it to be a coffee shop. So maybe just to quickly go through the Starbucks journey. So here's a coffee shop rapidly expanding. Customers walk in, they buy coffee over the counter, they grab the coffee, they go. So they came, perhaps I could say the first step towards their journey was, okay, they came up with loyalty program cards. They would give you a card, 10 steps of coffee, you get 1 free. And it was still pretty much a manual process. Then they came the advent of, mobile apps. So during mobile apps, they decide, okay, what if we build our own mobile app? What if we increased our digital footprint, leveraging, just simple social media platforms like your Facebook, your Twitter, all that. They created their communities, they connected with their customers in that regard to understand, okay, who are customers? What is it that they like? Those kind of things, putting themselves out there. And having realized that they actually have a pool of, they have a statistic that says about how many people? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't put that statistic, but I think something like 90% of 90% of Facebook users are either a Starbucks customer or they know someone who's a Starbucks customer. So that's a very huge pool. That's a large pool of people that you interact with. So if you are holding something as powerful as that, you'd want to be leveraging that power to enhance or to even grow your business bigger. So what they did is then they developed those mobile apps. They developed the digital card where customers could then create their own accounts on their website. You create an account, then you transfer money from your bank account into this loyalty program card. And it sort of has a trail of all the transactions that you are doing as a customer. So every time you want a coffee, now instead of having to walk into a store, you are able to just buy the coffee over the app. First of all, maybe you search the nearest Starbucks. You know that maybe it's in Airport Junction. That's the nearest. You drive there, but along the way, you've placed your coffee. You walk there. You tap your phone on their scanner. They give you your coffee, and payment is already done. And just by introducing those maybe few initiatives, digital transformation initiatives, they were able to say, we've managed to save 20 minutes of customer waiting time. So customers need not have to go to Starbucks and queue and wait for a cup of coffee. Just by coming in, you tap, you pick, and you go. That's the sort of your customer facing value that they've created. Then to themselves, the employee value that they've created would be something like, let's say a coffee, you buy a coffee for 23.95. So if a customer gives you 25 pula, you have to give them change. And then at the end of the day's business, you need to be balancing all that. So through the use of this new purchasing system, they no longer have to be balancing, counting coins and doing banking and all that. And from that, they were able to say they managed to save, they managed to quantify the amount of hours that they managed to save from their employees. And this has helped their business grow to a certain degree. And so we see the value that's been created by this, digital transformation in the business of Starbucks. There's another story on Burberry. There's a whole lot of organizations that are actually succeeding in how they're going through that digital transformation. And okay, I've been talking about it maybe with regards to business organizations, but it goes beyond that. It goes beyond business organizations. Even in smart cities, you can look at your own city, look at your own digital the maturity index. How many people can transact online? How many people have maybe social media platforms? How many businesses are able to transact online? All those kind of things. They will tell us where we are standing as a community or as a city. We are able to maybe search for the next transport, things like that. Then it brings also issues of digital government, digital society. All these are where digital transformation can also be applied. Also, like I said before, digital transformation was accelerated by COVID. It's now impacting, even other things like the future of work. People working remotely. It's no longer about, okay, work from home because we are social distancing. Maybe it's because we've seen the value of, okay, if people are working remotely, we don't need as much office space as we think we do. Then you cut down on those costs, you increase your profits, you save on some costs. The teaching and learning, which we do, right now. We no longer have to be in the classroom all the time. We can take the teaching online. Branchless banks, then all these is what digital transformation can bring. So I want to take us through my model, the model that I built. So earlier on, I said I started off by doing a study where I was defining what digital transformation was. So the study is in 4 phases. The first phase is where I was defining the concept of digital transformation. I called it conceptualizing digital transformation and went through those 89 articles like I described. From there, and after picking those issues such as these low success rates and all that, I went on to say, but what can we learn from these digital masters? Your likes of Burberry, your Starbucks. So what I did is I looked into 10 case studies of those companies: Burberry, Starbucks, DBS, a bank. Hemel is a sports company. Lloyd's Bank, Audi, Lego, L'Oreal. Retail core is I think it's a chain supermarket, but they anonymized it. Then there's the Health Authority of Abu Dhabi. It was a good selection, a mixture of different organizations across different industries, deliberately, so I could learn. I could pick from different industries how digital transformation looks like across the industries. And from there, I was able to come up with a what I call digital transformation success factors, which I'll talk to in a bit. Then from coming up with those success factors, I had to then embark on another study where this time I went into 2 organizations. I was having conversations with different managers who are working on digital transformation projects. So I would sit with them, they will take me through their own digital transformation experiences. As using the 2 case studies I was using, one is called AIB, which is a bank in Ireland, then the HSE, which is the Health Service Executive. And that's from there where I sort of refined those success factors that I'd identified in the second phase here. So, okay, the mouse is not, okay. So the second phase was the determining, but then on the third phase, which is empirical validation of the success factors in the previous phase. So I managed to come up with a revised list of those success factors, but not just a list. I also then discovered that sort of a process model of, okay, when you're embarking on digital transformation, this is how you need to, these are the steps that you need to go through. I will talk to that in a bit. Then after that, the bit that I'll also need to do is then, because I've been building this model with my own, as myself, literature, then doing the success factors on my own, I need to also then validate them with experts. I need to sit with the experts and say, okay, here's a tool that I've been developing. You have your own experiences with digital transformation. Do you think this can work? Do you think, just to even improve the rigor of it, it's more of, fulfilling the requirements from the digital from the PhD, I mean. So this is the success factors that I want to talk to. So when we do a digital transformation, we need to understand firstly the triggers. What is it that triggered the need to embark on a digital transformation journey? We need to identify those events, those incidents that sort of, triggered the need to embark. And then we need to understand the conditions that stimulate this need. These triggers, they can help with, they can occur within the organization. For instance, you are running on obsolete technologies, or maybe there's an emergence, there's emergence of new technologies, externally, or maybe your customers have come up with new requirements. You need to upgrade how you deliver your services to your customers, all these kind of things. Or maybe competition has increased. You need to, your competitors have moved on, and you need to, you need to catch up. So firstly, you need to understand what is it that triggered the need, what's inducing this need to embark on digital transformation. Just doing it because I'm being fashionable could be a disaster. Actually, the HSE, which is from what I learned from them, they got excited when they started that digital transformation journey. They would just, bring new technologies. Someone will come up with a telemedicine solution, they'll implement it. Someone will come up with an e-prescription system, they will implement it. But at the end of the day, those were isolated systems, not talking to each other, because there was no underlying understanding of what is it that we want to achieve by embarking on digital transformation. The next factor that I would want to talk to is adopting transformational leadership styles. First of all, we need to be cultivating the desired culture. You need to embrace that, the kind of thinking, the kind of mindset that we need to apply when we are embarking on digital transformation is it's a different one. We need more digital savvy leaders, especially leading from the top. Digital transformation has to be, there has to be a buy-in from the top. So if we miss that, if you just say, okay, no, it's you guys, your young people, your thing, go ahead with it, without the proper understanding, especially at the top, then we are simply just, becoming fashionable about use and adoption of technology. There's also the issue of ensuring an organization-wide understanding. Some organizations with excuse me. Some of the organizations, AIB, for instance, the environment in banks can be very tricky at times. You see people just coming in, maybe a small group that's secluded, maybe put a nice little corner, they got new laptops, all that. And they're said to be doing something digital in the organization. By that, you run the risk of divorcing that group of people from the rest of the organization, such that in the end, they will maybe moving at a more faster pace as compared to the other organization. And then there's that disconnect. Then you find people are becoming more resistant to whatever changes or transformation that you want to be going through. So we want an organization-wide understanding. Everybody needs to be involved, right from the gatekeeper to the cleaner to the CEO. Everyone needs to be part of this journey, understanding what is it that we are trying to do. Also, good governance practices. We need to be having proper, structures in place. Your project management offices, ensuring that whatever that's being implemented is what has been planned, and it's being implemented in the manner that it has been outlined. We also draw lessons as we progress with digital transformation. You need to be able to say, okay, what are our experience? What are the lessons we are learning from here? Is this something that we can scale? Should we discard? And then also learn from other organizations, other stakeholders. The other factor is about establishing what I call the digital organization. So a digital organization would be, maybe a department that is mandated to drive the digital transformation agenda in the organization. All digital transformation projects need to be centralized in this department. As much as implementation will be distributed across the organization or across the country in this regard, but there has to be that central place where the coordination, such that we are able to see if we are still in the same in the same vision, which we are to be talking about in a minute. So there has to be proper structures, your digital transformation implementation teams. They have to be, in place, and a good representation of across the organization. We are not just going to be having the risk also maybe that many organizations run is you'd have maybe your computer people who think they know what is happening across the organization, or who think they know what the problems of the people are. They get excited, they develop solutions, but you find that the solution is running in parallel with the actual reality of what is happening. So this is where now we need to be having, good teams, representatives from across the whole organization. So those cross-functional teams, we need to be having them. There's the issue of the digital vision, the vision itself. We need to be very clear. This is our North Star. This is where we want to go. And for us to achieve that, we need to firstly assess what I call the digital present. So what is in place at the moment, at present? Where are we digitally? Our digital maturity index, what is it that we need? Where are we? What is it? What are the challenges that you are experiencing? If it means walking your customer journeys to try and understand what frustrations your customers are going through, so that we understand where we are. That's what we need to do. Then from that, we use that to formulate what we call the digital future. Then from that, we'll develop the strategies and the roadmaps, identifying individual initiatives in this regard. So the vision will be like the overall umbrella, but under the vision, we'll have individual journeys, individual initiatives that address the specific challenges or problems that would have been identified as we are assessing the digital present. There has to also be a communication strategy, a very robust communication strategy. Remember, we are saying this is an organization-wide. So if at all there is a team of consultants coming, or maybe a team of techies coming into your organization saying, coming to implement a digital transformation agenda, there has to be a clear communication strategy to keep everybody abreast what is happening on the ground. People don't like being, just being passengers in their workplace. They want to own these kind of projects. They want to be able to know what is happening at all times. So a clear, a robust communication strategy would help with that. Then, as we are identifying the digital, we're assessing the digital present, we are also then identifying the transformed the transformed area, the areas we need to transform. For instance, where are the opportunities? It has to be very planned, very much planned. You don't just transform anything and everything. Of course, maybe a lot of things would need to be transformed in an organization, but it has to be very systematic, very planned. You identify those opportunities, you prioritize them, and then you define the expected benefits for each of the initiatives that you want to be implementing. So there could be so many initiatives, so many projects going on at the same time, but we need to be able to justify each of those projects, because that's where we derive the value from. If you are saying, let's say maybe in the case of, let's say in the case of HSE, they wanted to, oops, okay. I don't know what's okay. So in the case of HSE, the health executive, at some point they wanted to enhance customer experiences with hospital management. So your traditional hospital system would be maybe going to a clinic. You get there, they diagnose you, and they think, "Oh, we need to refer you." Here, they'll just take you to Marina. You get to Marina, no one is expecting a referral. You spend hours waiting by the accidents and emergency, maybe waiting for a doctor, waiting for a hospital bed, things like that. But the transformation that we saw in the HSE, which is the health executive in Ireland, was, okay, before you even leave the facility you are at, they will know exactly where you are going. They'll need to check the hospital bed. Is there a hospital bed waiting for you? The admission at that hospital will be done at the health facility where you are sitting. By the time you get there, they already know that patient XYZ has arrived, who has these conditions, and a doctor has been called already to attend to your needs. So you find that in that regard, they were able to define the benefits that they were expecting to create for their customers who happen to be patients in this regard. Then we also need to also define what technologies to leverage. Appropriate technology is expensive. So when you make your investment in the technology, you need to be clear that I'm investing in the right technology. And this is the technology that will scale with when the user requirements change, when the customer needs evolve, the technology will be able to scale. We have organizations are used to, maybe we adopt a particular technology, we are excited about it, it's working for us now. 5 years down the line, also, is this technology able to integrate with what is already existing? What is the systems that you already have in place? So issues of integration right there are also quite important. Then there's the issue of skills and capabilities. So we'll need people with the right skills. We'll need people with the right understanding of technology. Your programmers, all those people need to be in place. And we are not saying all organizations can have that. If it means you don't have those skills, you need to outsource, so be it. If it means you maybe need to partner with a tech company that is used to trying out developing solutions, trying them out, we can do that. In the case of Burberry, actually, what they had done is because they wanted to leverage these digital technologies, but they were not a tech company. They didn't want to invest much on the technology, on making sure that they have the skills in-house, lest they divert their attention from the core business. So what they did is they engaged a tech company. They got in an agreement with them to say, okay, you'll use us as a guinea pig. You develop solutions, you rapidly test them on us. If it's working, then we roll out. So there's different options you can go about that. also then obviously determining the resources that are required. There's issues of legislation, there's issues of, compliance, all of that. But then at the end of it all, what value has been created? Are we able to measure and quantify this value? Then are we able to, scale these initiatives and keep the ball rolling? Because we are saying with digital transformation, it's not a destination. Customers will always be coming up with new things, or systems themselves, they become obsolete, or there's new ways of doing things that keep emerging. So are we able to scale and, continuously improve in that manner? From that, there's this process model that I came up with, which it's basically what I've been, describing. So there's the initiation stage, where you need to be understanding the external or internal triggers or conditions. Those conditions are the triggers that I was referring to. Then at that point, we also need to appoint a digital head. From that digital organization, there has to be what you call a digital head. Some call it a chief digital officer, CDO. Also, mind you, this is not the IT department. IT already has its core business of ensuring connectivity and managing of the systems and all that in the organization. So with a digital organization, we are saying we are setting a structure on the side. Obviously, they're going to be working with IT at some point, but we are not saying IT is no longer focusing on the IT functions. We are now focusing on they're focusing on digital transformation. IT continues because business has to continue. But as we are improving, as we are bringing in new technologies or new, trying out new initiatives, the digital organization will be coordinating that service. So it will be led by what you call a digital head. That's when now they determine all those triggers. They establish the digital organization. They develop the vision. They determine the transformed areas, the drivers, then the actual implementation and the value. At any given point, the transformational leadership styles and a conducive culture, conducive digital culture. It cuts across every stage of your digital transformation. Your leaders at the top have to be on point with, okay, this is the vision, this is where we want to go, a very clear digital agenda. Then obviously engaging external collaboration partners who could be your tech companies that you are partnering with, or maybe consultants, your R&D companies. Academia also plays a very important role in this regard. So you decide at what stage you want to involve them. Some would prefer to involve them at the very initial stage, where they're like, okay, we want to embark on this thing called digital transformation, but we are not sure of what it is. So help us with the process of just conceptualizing and initiating the process. Some would prefer maybe at the design, where you want to be engaging the consultants maybe when you are doing when you are analyzing the digital presence, and then determining what areas to transform. Some would perhaps maybe say, okay, we've done all that for ourselves. We want to engage you for strictly purposes of developing or implementing the solutions that the initiatives that we have prioritized. So it happens at different stages, and all organizations, it's different for each organization. What's important is know who your organization is, know what your capabilities are, know your own digital maturity index, and then be able to place yourself somewhere along this model so that you are able to embark on a more successful digital transformation journey. So this is the model that it's the output that I'm bringing out of the PhD. And like I say, I need to validate it. I need to validate it with the experts. I need people who are experienced in these kind of projects to sit with me and say, okay, well, I need to sit with them and say, okay, here's a tool. This is how it's supposed to work. Unpack it, deconstruct it, and then reconstruct it again. Because it has to be something that is valuable, not just, okay, to fulfill some academic paper, but a tool that organizations, that governments can actually, adopt and allow themselves to be guided by a tool such as this one when they're embarking on a project such as or projects such as your digital transformation journeys. So maybe let me bring it closer to home. Here we are, home. Maybe a quick overview. Where are we? Right now, we already have certain things in place, like already we have your innovation hub. Thank you very much. Your Smart Botswana, thank you very much. There's this emergence of tech companies in Botswana. So we see that the thirst is there, but maybe at times it's the excitement of, okay, I'm developing this, I'm developing an app for that, I'm developing a system for that. But the actual coordination, we need to really go back to that. There's the reset agenda that the president always talks about. The fourth industrial revolution is upon us, and we want to be building towards a knowledge-based economy. We have e-gov, digital education. Nowadays, our high schools are receiving laptops. But the question we still need to go back to, are we doing this in an organized fashion such that we are able to see the value, or we are just being fashionistas? Okay, now because there's so many laptops, we can start dishing them out to schools. Or do we have a very clear vision, a clear agenda of what it is that we want to achieve by embarking on those kind of projects? The different stakeholders that we have, obviously the government, the academia, tech companies, business organizations, so if we can get to a point where we are building those digital ecosystems such that there's a clear definition of what it is that we need to do, what role each of those stakeholders can play in helping us realize this journey that we want to be embarking on. Already we have some strengths, high technology penetration. Botswana in the region, arguably we are one of the one of those who have high technology penetration. Literacy level, digital literacy level, not so bad as well. Maturity index, perhaps we need to understand that better. Digital skills, there's a pool of programmers, the website that, the digital, what do you call it? The innovation, where all the programmers are listed in the Innovation Hub website. I forgot the name. Pardon? Skills, yeah, skills ranking. Yeah, that shows somewhat the skills are there. I mean, already he has a pool of programmers, pool of people who can do these systems. Digital leadership, we need to look into that as well. But perhaps you're not doing too bad, young tech savvy population, especially from the skills ranking, national ICT policy. Also, we need to look into that because there has to be a guiding a deliberate guiding tool that we guides us through, that takes us through this process. Political will, I'm sure this one we all know it's there. So if we have these things as Botswana, there's so many opportunities that perhaps we need to explore. Maybe just to name a few, building those digital ecosystems that I was talking about, the techies, the consultants, business community, R&D, academia, government, bringing everyone together and saying, okay, this is where we want to go. This is the different roles that each one of you can play, and then come up with a very clear agenda, a strategy that will guide us through this journey that we want to be embarking on. Maybe some of the other projects, your eGov is already there, but at times, like I say, we do these solutions in isolation. So what is the point if we are doing them in isolation? At the end of the day, we still fail to address the very core issue that we want to be creating. So maybe exploring on your digital ID, e-citizen, one citizen record, will help consolidate different records about our citizens. Then we'll be able to see how we can, different spin-offs that can come out of those kind of interactions. Payment gateways, this is something that we can also we can explore. Your fintechs, your banks, the appropriate legislation to sort of coordinate all these activities. Open data, we need to know at any given point what's the population, how many people have a mobile phone, a smartphone, what are they doing with it, how many shops can transact online, such that we know where we are at. What is it? What are the pain points that we still have? Then can be able to come up with solutions that address real life problems, not just some assumed problems. Because like I was saying earlier, we have this thing of thinking we know what the problems are when we actually don't have the data, or we have carried out the research to support whatever it is. So, but it all goes back to firstly coming up with that coordination, that house, that digital transformation organization, which houses the mindset, the agenda, the mandate of where we want to go as, maybe in this instance, as a country. And this conversation is not new. I was surprised to actually recall that I wrote an article to Sunday Standard in 2007 when we were still talking about Maitlamo. When we are still on the Maitlamo, I was like, maybe if we had a Maitlamo house where everything Maitlamo policy was coordinated from, then cascaded to different ministries and departments, we could be somewhere. But basically, there is, it's not all lost. We are somewhere. We are on the right journey. We just need to maybe tweak it here and there, and then come up, just coordinate how we progress with our digital transformation journey. With that, I would like to say thank you. Are we ready for digital transformation? Thank you very much. So I would like to, invite questions. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I wasn't too much of a bore. But yeah, please feel free to ask questions with regards to the model or anything, my views, other views on any other issue on digital transformation. Emma.
Thanks, that was very detailed and provides different views. Now, in terms of the country and where we are, because I'm very interested for it, I see that a lot of your research and all was based in Ireland. But bringing it home, how do you see this panning out, and where do you think as a country we are in terms of, for example, good leadership and driving, centralizing and the whole digital transformation journey? Are we still just doing a lot of lip service, or are we intentional about it and actually driving it throughout the country in a very coordinated manner?
Yeah, thanks very much for that. It's a very tricky question. Okay, I wouldn't say I did a thorough study with our environment here at home, but of course I interact with people, I read, I listen. I haven't divorced myself with what's happening on the ground. And I think there's a very clear agenda of what it is that we want to achieve as a country. But like many other 84% of those who are failing, we don't know how to go about it. So we get excited with, okay, now we have a pool of programmers, go out and develop the solutions that you want, but it goes back to, yes, you'll develop those solutions, they'll be there and you feel good about yourself. But if there isn't a clear vision, a clear strategy of, okay, firstly, we want to improve on this, then on that, then on that. We are simply becoming fashionable, So the coordination aspect is the one that perhaps I think is not there. The idea, the general idea is there, but the actual planning and coordination in a well-intentional manner, well-structured, and very methodical. That's what we perhaps don't have as a country. And this is where I think we need to look at. It's not just the country, even in our individual organizations. I've spoken to quite a number of people. Okay, no, we are doing this. No, we are doing that. We still suffer the things that I was picking in your AIBs and HSEs, where you'd have a team of selected employees who are stuck in a corner somewhere. They are funded. They are sort of removed from the rest of the organization, and in the process, there's that disconnect. The other employees are looking at them and they're like, okay, what's going on? The other ones are saying, oh, maybe we are the chosen few, we are the special ones, which is what you don't want in digital transformation. There has to be an organization-wide understanding and ownership of the agenda itself. Thank you. Okay.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Okay. Morning, Mr. Edzai.
Yes. Sure. Thank you.
Should I go to?
Thank you, Resego, for the amazing presentation. I just want to find out. I came in a bit late, so I don't know if
Are you able to pick up the sound on your end?
Can you hear me?
Is it on the chat?
Okay. Maybe let me ask him to put it down in the chat.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Edzai,
We can hear you, but they seem not to be able to hear you, but I can hear you.
Are you able to type your question in the chat, please?
Any question? Did you consider culture, society-wide? Okay, where is that? Did you consider cultural influences of willingness to change society-wide, hierarchical nature of society and reluctance to change? Yes, these are some of the issues that are there. Well, as looking at digital transformation in organizations, so you find that also perhaps we need a more in-depth study with our environment in Botswana, but right from just face analysis, I look at ourselves as when I'll take the use of social media. When social media came to us, it was either this thing for young people, and not very appealing to your older kind of generation. And in the process, there was that stigma that was attached to social media, use and adoption of social media. And people be like, no, but Facebook, it's for there's nothing official that you can do on Facebook or on Twitter or on on WhatsApp. We think this is not part of digital transformation, yet it is. At times when we think digital, we think big systems, complicated, things, but a simple creation of your social media suite, having your own digital channels, your Facebook pages, your Twitters, your YouTube channels, and making sure that the information that you set there is consistent and it's very much official. It's things that we need to adopt. When I was studying in Ireland, it was very easy to find communication. And in a situation like this, actually, there would be a hashtag, and questions will be coming in through Twitter. People will be tweeting at every moment. Capturing maybe a phrase that someone says, taking a quick shot of something and then posting it, and it's part of the conversation itself. But here, maybe it's Black Twitter and maybe talking bad about each other on social media. So I think we have an even bigger role of saying, let's unlearn some of these things, misconceptions that we have, so that we actually leverage the power that these technologies bring. I remember even before, going, when I in maybe around 2011, 12, I used to create Facebook pages for my class, and I'll insist that all my students should add themselves on that page. Some of them will be like, but we are not on Facebook. We don't like Facebook. I'm like, but we are studying information systems, for Christ's sake. Create the thing, and, you'll see it's going to be very interactive. And we've created a network. 5 years down the line, we still, once in a while, someone posts maybe a job to say, oh, there's an opening at XYZ. Does anyone need to? But if we didn't have that kind of platform, the class would have been, the network would have been dissolved the minute everyone went their way after graduation. So we need to embrace these technologies and learn and try and cultivate this new culture. Hey, I shouldn't be talking too much. There's quite a number of questions here. Princess, I will type my questions. Thank you very much for an awesome presentation. Kindly advise in terms of policy and legal requirements in BW. Can we set up e-commerce platforms, apps for DX, and similar? Your comments on this will be appreciated. I'll need to familiarize myself with the legislation as well. I don't know how much we are dealing, how much, where we are at with legislation but of course there has to be some form of regulation. We were just struggling a few years back. We are struggling with people, saying bad things about each other on social media. Hence that crazy, excuse me, not crazy, but hence that not so welcome, policy on social media, defamation of character, things like that. There has to be some form of regulation, yes, but I'm sure something can be, we can influence, acceleration of legislation that sort of controls and regulates the use and adoption of these kind of technologies. Maybe there's quite a lot of people that are being denied the opportunity because of the lack of, the legislation. Thank you very much for the presentation. The more we can do presentations of our discussion and work coherently on synchro. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. Better. Which one? Yeah.
Because that's on the ground, you see some of the things that are similar to other industries. For instance, within the IT, is the platform that we talk about. Cannot be implemented. This one. Take, for instance, there's a hotel in Kassan, for instance, owned by one company. I cannot believe that 90% of the time cannot be supported by the local government. But the way it is packaged, it is said that that hotel will come with everything from extra. So in terms of legislation, I hear you saying this political, but if there's a will in this issue, definitely no mass in the television. I don't think because they can put to and you analyze the policies, policies that are interesting.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Like I say, unfortunately, issues of the legislation of that were outside of my scope in my study, but I can't divorce myself from that. I'm here, I'm a citizen, I'm preaching digital transformation, and for it to be effective, all these things have to be there. Deliberately, I was putting question marks here because I can't stand and say, yes, I know for certain, but already we are seeing that there's a need for maybe not just lip service political will, but very tangible results in terms of instruments, legislation instruments that will help us, that will guide us as we embark on this journey. So this is something that perhaps needs to be on record that yes, we are embracing digital transformation as Botswana, but we need the support of the political will, the instruments, the appropriate instruments to guide us and regulate us through that journey. So maybe let's just put it out there clearly and boldly like that. So creating an enabling environment to catalyze, to accelerate digital transformation. Yeah, is another series. Yeah.
With digitalization and digitalization, we are automating more and more things that a lot of people have to do. For instance, there's a cashless, frictionless service that Amazon introduced, where you put everything in a basket and there's no shop to go to your channel, nothing. When you leave, you automatically pay. That doesn't that take away from that does that bring some unemployment rate?
Yeah. There's always a fear of isn't technology to strike the balance? Yeah, that's a very valid point. It's a conversation that is there, as we are busy automating and transforming how we conduct business these days, are we not then taking away from the jobs? I can argue, and ongoing research keeps saying it's a matter of reskilling ourselves. We need to reskill ourselves. I'll tell you something. If you go to a gas station in Ireland, you drive into the petrol station, you park your car, and you pour petrol for yourself, and you go to the cashier and you pay over the counter. Already there's jobs lost with the actual petrol attendant is not there, things like that. But you look at it on flip side, it has increased efficiency and all that. But these systems, remember, you develop a system, it's not there and it stops there. It's continuous improvement. We need to retool ourselves. We need to reskill ourselves to be able to get these digital skills, to find where we can participate. What is my stake in the digital agenda? I don't think it's people, it's computers stealing jobs from us. There's also another thing, and thank you for bringing the Amazon example. It's very similar to the Burberry case study. So what they picked was, as much as we are in the digital era, we want digital transformation and blah, blah, blah. We are also social beings. Yeah. As social beings, we are people of touch, So let's say you get into a supermarket. You want to be, okay, maybe the supermarket one it's not the Amazon one, because you get into the store, that one. The one where you order online, people want to touch and hold the vegetables and see if this is what I like and all that, which is what Burberry did. They had this online store. But as much as people are looking for, browsing through stuff online, they still go to the physical shop. They try in things, then they would perhaps, try different colors, but then they will still not buy. They will decide, okay, I like this one, and they will still not buy, and then go buy online because it was cheaper. Because we are people of touch and feel and things like that. So as much as we are preaching digital transformation, we need to strike a good balance of the digital and the physical. Someone actually coined the word phygital experience. So phygital and digital, physical and digital experience. So let's not look at it as we are losing jobs or we are cutting down on jobs, but people need to reskill themselves and reappropriate and see where they fit in this new value chain. One more from online, okay. Okay.
Organizations employ your model. What should trigger the adoption of your model? When an organization wants to reach new clients, new markets, or when the environment around them changes.
At what stage should organizations employ the model? Okay, the model is is a bit comprehensive, So that's why I was saying let me just make reference to it right here. So depending on your own organization, you'd be at different levels, different stages of your digital transformation. There's people who are a little bit into it. There's people who are not anywhere. And you need to understand yourself first. Okay, what do I have? What don't I have? Do I need help with this thing? Or it's something that I can do myself? So if you need help and engage with an external collaboration partner, you go through the digital present assessment, where am I at? What is that's already in place? That will help determine exactly where to start. But that will also, depend on what were the triggers. What are the triggers what are the issues? What are the pain points that you are trying to address with your digital, by embarking on this digital transformation